Dumelang and welcome to my channel, Musawahai, where we're talking about positive parenting. So I'm a soon-to-be mom of 3. So far, I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. In our last video, I was talking about why we should reconsider corporal punishment as a form of discipline. And I'm so grateful for the feedback that I got. Please subscribe if you want to be notified every time I make a new video. As we talk about positive parenting, one of the comments that I got, or a question I got from a friend of mine after watching a video, she says, "Jaanong go dirwa jang ha ngwana a sa utlwe?" And I thought that was a very valid and very interesting question. So that's what I want to talk about today. Rephrasing or reframing how we look at problematic behavior. So there's one thing that we need to understand as we try this approach of positive parenting. And the biggest thing today that we should understand is that our children's brains are developing still. When they are born, they are basically functioning for survival, which is to be taken care of physically, to eat, to sleep, to have a safe place to stay, and that's the physiological needs. And then the next part of their brain that develops is their emotions. And so a lot of our toddlers and infants and a lot of our children who are in their preteen, they function a lot with their feeling brain as opposed to their thinking brain. The thinking brain only starts developing properly around the age of 4 and 5. That's when they can reason. That's when they're starting to learn how to reason. But it's very, very rudimentary kind of development. And this development, I learned, takes place all the way until 25 years old. So parenting is quite the journey, which is why I am so pro positive parenting and not so much with the corporal punishment and beating and all of that, because we want to look at the long term at issues of attachment and at issues of learning how to regulate their emotions, which is a big part of our children's life. It's their emotions. Getting back to it, we're talking about rephrasing problematic behavior. So I'm gonna start with the phrase that I got from my friend. What if ngwana sa utlwe? How about we reframe that to ngwana ana le bothata le ho nkutwa? Because that's the reality. The reality is your child's brain is underdeveloped, and when you're seeing problematic behavior, there is something that has triggered their stress response. And so that thinking brain is not working at that point. And so as in children do not misbehave on purpose. Children don't go out of their way to make your life miserable. Which brings me to another phrase that we like saying, that my child is giving me such a hard time. Let's rephrase that to my child is having a hard time. And when we think of our children and we're saying, attention, how about we rephrase that to say, connection? That's what our children need from us. They want to connect with us. It is literally how they feel a sense of safety. It is literally connected to their instinct of survival. So when we take away our connection from them, they literally feel like they're gonna die. That's why they're so dramatic. These people is because they're still functioning with the rudimentary part of their brain. So every time you see problematic behavior, try to remember this. And this is the stage where my child is forming attachment. Secure attachment is what we're looking for. And that's going to affect how they form relationships as adults. So let's reframe our mindset to how we look at our children. They're giving us a hard time. They're not trying to manipulate us. They are trying to push limits. They are trying to find out cause and effect. Everything is happening to them. Sometimes for the very first time, they want to know, if you say no, are you going to say no to this thing all the time? Are you going to say no to this thing when you're tired? Are you going to say no in the morning? Are you going to say no in the evening? They're always learning. It is exactly what their brain is wired to do, to discover and to learn. They want to understand you. They want to understand the world around you. They are also trying to understand themselves. And so let us show them a bit more grace and compassion. So when we see our child throwing a tantrum, such as hitting and biting, this could signify a few things. One, the child is frustrated, the child is angry, the child is overstimulated. Just figure out what is the need that is being communicated by this behavior. That all behavior is communication. That's another thing that we should take away from today's discussion. When you see your child, you have a new baby and they are pinching the baby when you're trying to feed them, they could be feeling jealous, which is normal. They could be feeling unseen. They could be feeling like, I need attention. All the attention is being spent on the baby, and they are not being able to communicate verbally what is happening to them. So we as parents need to develop the emotional intelligence to assess what need is not being met that my child is trying to communicate to me. Sometimes you see a child just having a meltdown, maybe in a crowded place. Maybe they're overstimulated. Maybe they don't know what's going on. Maybe they're scared of the new environment and the new faces. And so, they need you to help reassure them to say, "Oseifi, mama ha e hope, mama ha na go togela. Ke na le wena gone ha. Go ha re mo phating kana re mo molong. Ke a bona re tshogileng ena. I'm here. You're safe." Children need that kind of reassurance, not for us to yell at them, because a lot of things are happening to them for the first time that we take for granted because we are adults, okay? And some of the behavior that you might see is when a child is saying no to everything. No, mommy, come and bath. No, how do I? That's our cat, Tato. When your child is saying no to everything, they feeling a sense of a loss of control, because let's face it, for a toddler, we control everything in their day, from when they wake up, what they eat, what they wear, when they go to sleep. But the thing is, as a toddler is trying to develop autonomy, kind of independence. And so how do we respond to that kind of behavior? We try to give them options, okay? So, kena kwa skolong, o batla go apara tracksuit e pinky kana batla go apara tracksuit e blue. We are giving them an option, but at the end of the day, they must wear tracksuit. We try to give them a little bit of power and control throughout the day with little things that we can allow them to have control over. It's a normal developmental stage. And so we try to give them a little bit of independence within the limits. We have to set the limit, okay? I'm not saying you tell them you're giving them options, and they feel like, oh, I'm a bit in control, like mommy. So if there are any more behaviors that you want us to discuss, please comment below and we'll talk about them in the next video. But please do subscribe, and we'll talk more about problematic behavior and strategies of how to face them. Remember, our children's brains are still developing. All behavior is a form of communication. You need to figure out what need is being communicated that I need to meet for my child. Thank you.